And now we have a chance to hear from Mary Jo on her story with regard to care of members. And when you get into that, the issues that emerge. So Mary Jo.
Thank you, Anne. I'm going to share some of the strategies that helped us as a community in this time of change and transition. And I want to note that these were all woven into our steps of planning. It wasn't like we did all of this relational stuff or caring for members and then went on to planning. We wove it all together. The first thing that we needed to do many years ago was to work on the quality of our relationships. So we had a resource person work with us for a few years to help us work on deeper listening, better tools for active feedback, and working with conflict, triangulation, and looking at assumptions and how they can be destructive or divisive. And so all of this helped improve how we had difficult conversations. And it proved to be a great gift, even though going through it was challenging, because everyone has to look at how she communicates and what her assumptions are. And but it led to this ability for us as a group to talk more clearly and personally about the things we needed to talk about. Second, we kept naming the current story of religious life as a whole and how we fit into the larger picture, and kept naming our own reality as a community for everything that we did. This is a way of giving some factual material when emotions and feelings can be really high and loss can be just on the edge. And so we had to make sure we had the correct data to bring to this picture and give the sisters time to work with that. So that ended or helped us deepen our experience of the Paschal Mystery as a way of life. That everything in life goes through a birth, living, death, resurrection, new life. And that's true for religious life as much as it is for us as persons. We also deepened our contemplative journey and our work with loss and grief. For every topic, issue, question that we needed to explore, we made sure that we offered ongoing education in that particular area. And we did that through speakers and articles, and then reflection and conversation on each issue or question that we were considering. For instance, when we were considering all our leadership issues, we brought in someone to talk about leadership and the requirements of leadership from a canonical standpoint. That gave some very objective data to our sisters, and then that helped us frame the next steps. We did the same thing when we worked with our buildings and our land, as well as our community life. I emphasize speakers from outside the community because sometimes it's easier for all of us in the community to hear something from an outsider than it is from a leader. And it also gave us as a leadership team an opportunity to be a member and grappling with the information and challenges together with our sisters. We also explored the three elements of the consecrated life: vowed life, community and relationships, and spirituality. And we worked hard with new questions and new understandings. And this was particularly important for us, as we only, at the time we were doing this, we only had one sister in active ministry besides the leadership team. Excuse me. And so we were challenged to look at, what does mission mean? What does our life mean when we no longer have the activity that we used to have and that brought so much meaning and so much good to the church and the world? So what is it now? So we really had to explore that. And for a missionary community, that has been really challenging, but not impossible. And I think we have turned some corners, and we're looking at ourselves in a healthier way. We've also planned for 2 retreats together. One we've had already, and that is on the vowed life. And that was using our own constitutions as a way to unpack new realities and new situations. Then in the spring of this, or in the summer, we're going to have another retreat on how transitions can lead to a deep transformation, and to identify what is already there and what is still on the horizon for us. We also have a social worker working with us to help us with the communal change and loss, and the shadow and the growing edges of our community, because those are still with us, even though our leadership and a lot of things are changing. And but you know, we're the people, and all of those things still go with us. They don't go away. And of course, we provided rituals for our discernment and decision making, our letting go, and our accomplishments. And that, as you know, probably from your own experience, is so important to not just accomplish something, but to celebrate it, to bring it into our faith life, really. And then as a leadership team, we made a commitment early on that we would try to be as transparent with our communication as we could, and involve as much participation in the processes as we could, realizing the reality of our members. And so even though sisters may have not been part of the assemblies when we were exploring our life and making decisions or weighing in on a consultation, we met with our sisters in the healthcare facility to bring them on board as much as possible. And probably in the end, and probably what I would say right now, what was most important for them is that the leadership came to tell them about what's happening in the community. Whether they understood it completely or not was really unimportant. It seemed to be that our relationship with them was just key. Even if there were limitations in how sisters could understand. Some learnings: relationships, communication, participation, and naming our reality is absolutely important for every congregation, regardless of what your work is. re-articulating the core of our life and the meaning of religious life today, and what is ending and what is emerging and what's changing, what's getting reshaped is very important, because it puts an individual congregation in the context of the whole. And that's what is, I think, going to be life-giving as we move forward, or needed, even needed, is, and like Anne said, we are not in this by ourselves. This is a intercongregational reality. It's our story together. Then anything that we can do to support the deepening of the contemplative way of living, in terms of deep listening to ourselves, others, the world, the church, to God, is absolutely essential. And it's a stance we need when we come to our planning or decisions that we need to make. And then the fourth one is ongoing formation is really important at this time. And it's not the work we do as individuals as much as it is the work we do as community together, so that we are learning together, understanding, and being aware of the questions and concerns among us. It's all a way of journeying together. And so we found that to be really important. And I would say it's probably, what we're doing now is probably more important than possibly what we did 50 years ago after the council. Because after the council, we had a roadmap. We don't have one right now. And so we have to figure out ways to make that road as we travel it. And so I hope this has been helpful, and thank you very much.
Mary Jo, that was a wonderful story. I think for me, it's a wonderful story of spiritual leadership, keeping that focus at the heart of accompaniment of individuals and of the whole. So thank you so much. There was a question that I think one of our participants raised that I see in the chat, and she's asking, for your community retreats, are you able to engage sisters who have dementia, sisters in skilled care? And if so, how do you manage that, and how does it impact the process? Now that's a big question, and this theme of dementia has appeared in many of our the group responses from the first session that we have had of this as one of the needs to address. So Mary Jo, your thoughts?
We do not include our sisters who have serious dementia and memory loss. We try to provide something else for them. We do include our sisters who are in assisted living, or regardless of the level of assisted living, as much as they can participate, realizing that they may only be there for one session, they may not come back for a second session, but we don't ask them to participate in the group process at the table. So they have their own place to sit. Now, that seems to work for us, but we've been working at it for a while, so it's kind of understood that that's how we do things. But if somebody wants to be part of a group, we're not going to refuse her to be a member of a table group. But that's how we do it. And everyone gets the materials from the retreat. So everyone gets the papers or the reflection material, realizing that not everybody's going to use it, but everybody feels included by getting it. So.
Thanks, Mary Jo. That's a very sensitive way of addressing that need. There still is a sense of belonging, but not overwhelming. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Excuse me. And now we have a chance to hear from Sharon.